you got at 2?
Well, it's Russell Wilson at number 2, right? Russell Wilson. Let's start respecting the greatness of number 3 up at Seattle.
Where's the
Because,
song? Where's the Russell
I
Wilson
mean,
song?
I know I don't have one for Russell. I need to come up with, he's married to a singer. She's got to do something around here. You know?
It's a lack of
Come on,
respect for
Sierra,
Russell
come up with
Wilson,
a
man.
song for your husband, and then I'll sing it after she comes up
I
with
like your songs better. No. We need one of your
it.
originals.
Okay, I can think of it. Those ones just came to me naturally, so I'll have to think about this in my
Okay,
time off. Um,
work on it.
but really, Russell Wilson, he's one of the greatest one-man shows in the NFL. I mean, he does everything for his football team, let alone plays quarterback for a team that doesn't play a quarterback-friendly style of football. I mean,
What's that mean?
it's the exact opposite of being quarterback friendly. It means Pete Carroll's the defensive coach. Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. We're going to run it. We're going to run it. We're going to run it. Oh, shit, we're down by 10 at the end of the third quarter. Hey, Russell, here's the ball. We're going to put it in your hands now. Take over the game. Oh, okay. Here comes the Seahawks coming back. I mean, really, one of my negatives with Russell Wilson would be almost team related. I don't know if I have a whole lot. I'll get into some of the negatives, but they got to get out of this mold of like, we're still the Legion of Boom in 2013.
Right.
Put the ball in Russell's hands from start to finish in every game. Put the pressure on teams that way. They do this where, like I just said, they run the ball, they play defense, and a lot of the times you look up in the third quarter and they're tied or losing by 3 to a team that they should be blowing out. And I think a lot of that's because of the style of the play, and they almost handcuff Russell Wilson that way. But, just
It's
like we've
like
seen in
you've
the
seen my
playoff
notes
games.
here.
Well,
It's
good.
like
Go
you've
ahead.
seen my
Go ahead.
notes.
Throw some stuff
My,
at
my
me.
number one question: how much blame should he have for the fact that every single week in the fourth quarter it's a close game? And you've
No,
already answered that.
it's none. I mean, it's none. I want to say if the blame is on the Seahawks, and some of those games wouldn't be close in the fourth quarter if they would just go, here, Russell, here's the game from the start of the first quarter, take over, and let's go. And I hopefully the last 2 playoff losses will get them to realize that, because that's what's happened 2 years ago in Dallas, last year in Green Bay. They tried to go up there and do their normal thing of we're going to run the ball, play defense, manage the game. And they get down to such an extent that it's just a little too much for even Russell Wilson to overcome in a playoff game. And again, with what I would say, an offense that's not necessarily the most creative passing game in football. I mean, it's very elementary. And Russell Wilson, he makes it happen with pinpoint throwing. He might be the best deep ball thrower in the game. And then, of course, we know his ad-libbing and ability to escape the pocket and his I don't know. You tell me this. And we know who's going to be number 1 now that we've hit number 2. 3 minutes left in the game, and you're down by 3 or 4 points. Who is it? Who would you rather have the ball in football in the NFL right now other than Russell Wilson? I mean, I know he's in your top 2 or 3. I don't even have to guess that. But who else
Right.
is in your mind for there? Yeah.
I mean, I'd put Aaron Rodgers in there. I'd put the guy you have at number 1 right there as well. But Wilson, time after time, it's almost just like normal. It's like an NBA game, which you're not watching right now. But no matter what's happening in the second quarter, you're going to turn it on with a minute left in the game, and it's going to be close. And that's like what you get with Russell Wilson. And hey, 75, 80% of the time, it seems like he wins.
It does. It's unbelievable. He is a force of nature.
Yeah. How much of this lack of a quarterback-friendly offense has to do with the scheme, which you've talked about a little bit, but how about the personnel as well? I mean, they have in their 3 deep, not just 2 deep, in their 3 deep. If you go really deep on their roster right now, they have 2 players for skill positions, tight end, receiver, running back, that they selected in the first or second round. They've got Rashad Penny and DK Metcalf. That's it. That is all you see there.
It's been something I've tried to argue for a long, long time. Now, I think they're starting to improve that personnel. We saw the offensive line get a little bit better last year. DK Metcalf with Lockett, that's a pretty good explosive tandem at the receiver position. You're right. The Rashad Penny thing, he's never been able to get off the ground. Chris Carson, he's coming off a pretty serious injury too. I think there's a big part of me too that thinks this year they might be forced early in the year to do what I'm saying because of some of the injuries at the running back position, where they might have to go, wait, we can't play defense and run the ball. We're going to have to throw the ball from get-go. And I think, to answer the bigger question, they just need to do more in the pass game. There's just not enough. The scheme is very simple. It is, a lot of four verticals or, deep cross with the post over the top. Like just basic plays that all NFL teams have are really the go-to plays for the Seattle Seahawks. And because Russell can buy time and he's such an awesome down-the-field thrower, that it doesn't matter that a lot of these teams have seen these plays and they go, oh, they're in this formation, they're going to run this play. Oh, that's great. But now you got to cover DK Metcalf. And then while you do that, can you do that? Can you stop a perfect throw that's going to be dropped in his pocket while in doing that? Yeah, that was great. You knew the play, but you got to stop the two guys that make it happen first. And it's easier said than done. And yeah, I wish they would find more short, easy completions, more versatility in formations and things like that. Stop trying. Their run game is quite creative. I just wish they'd put a little more eggs into the pass game basket. And I think they're going to need to, because I don't think their defense is going to turn the corner this year and go into top 10 in football. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be a middle of the road defense once again. And I think Russell Wilson's going to have to make it happen. If they want to get deeper in the playoffs, they need to strengthen, I think, that part of their team and play through that more.
They did sign some, I don't even want to say recent, but former first-round draft picks from other teams. Carlos Hyde at running back. Greg Olsen is in at tight end.
Yeah.
Philip Dorsett is there at wide receiver. So we'll see if those guys were talented at one point, or so talented to be first-round picks. Greg Olsen had a wonderful career. We'll see if they can still play. Here's my question about Russell Wilson, because he will be defined this way to me. We know he's a wonderful individual player. He's won a Super Bowl. But here going forward, it's going to be about Russell Wilson against San Francisco. So number 3 against the Niners defense right now for the next 2 years, it's advantage who?
That's a tough one. It's like a stalemate. I don't know what to say there. The 49ers have the perfect personnel to really contain a guy like Russell Wilson. I mean, really fast front seven that can, get after the quarterback and not let him buy a lot of extra time and make plays that way. But we saw it doesn't matter. In both games, as the game got later and later, Russell Wilson he's going to make it happen. Whether he just drops back deep and buys time. Like this is to me, Paul, where he's special, and I'm glad you brought me here with this question because I almost forgot it. He's really, really rare in the fact that he can read the coverage and the defensive line at the same time. All those times we sit there and go, man, it's like he's Houdini. He's got a sixth sense, or he's got eyes behind his head. No, he doesn't. He's just so freaking awesome that he can look downfield, look at DK Metcalf and the coverage, and then as he's looking, he can take little peeks to see what's around him. And to me, that's mind-blowing. I mean, it's just unbelievable that he does that. And then, of course, he leads to not a lot of turnovers and a lot of high-level throws. But that's really a special attribute he has, which allows him to escape guys like Dee Ford and Nick Bosa and all those type of things. So, no, this is going to – I don't know who has the advantage is what I'm telling you. I think that's going to be a tight one here for the next few years.
Well, it sounds to me like you said it was advantage Russell Wilson.
I think so.
Right way?
I think it is.
Okay.
I'm not going against Russell. You're right.
Right, yeah.
When your organization literally plays every game to go, we're just going to play to get the ball to Russell last, I think that just tells you. I mean, Pete Carroll's been around the block a lot, college, NFL, whatever it may be. I mean, he literally plays a game. Week 17, Paul, they're down by 10 points late in the third quarter, and they're still running the clock and running the ball down to 4 seconds every time on the play clock like they're winning the game. Like they're like, oh, we're down 10, but this isn't a big deal. We'll hang in there, and we're going to give the ball to Russell late, and we'll pull this out like we always do. I mean, that's insane, but it works. It's
Right.
unbelievable. And last thing we'll say about him, I've never seen anybody with his throwing motion as successful as he is in the NFL.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
he's a pure baseball thrower, over the top. Sorry, I got
It's
sweaty pits today.
way
I'm
over the
sorry
top.
about that.
Yeah. I
But
saw that. I saw that. It's hot. It's humid
yeah,
out here in the
man.
Northeast. I know. I
But
know.
way over the top. I mean, he's really one of the only guys in football that throws the ball that way. He's really one of the only guys I've ever seen in the history of football that throws the ball that way and
That
is
makes it work. Yeah.
successful.
I
Yeah, right?
remember watching him from the field, the Senior Bowl, and at the combine, and just being fixated on that because I saw him from field level playing during college, but then when watching him when he's just throwing, he's not managing a
Yeah,
game. That motion, I couldn't get away from it. I'm like, he's not going to be able to do that in the NFL. All the other
I
wonderful
know.
qualities about him, he's going to be overthrowing receivers left and right with the fact that it's so over the top, and there's kind of that hitch at the back of it as well.
Right.
It's a nerdy quarterback thing, but I think about that all the time when I'm watching him. How about he's getting away with that motion where 99% of other quarterbacks who were that over the top with that loop in it wouldn't make it happen.
No, it's really it speaks to his athleticism, his feel for the football. He just got great feel and he knows how to, yeah, it's not perfect technically, but he knows how to get it out of his hand at the proper point every time. I mean, he drops it, does that. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
it's really crazy in how he does it. It is, and again, I don't know if there's really a negative about his game, like I've said. He's got that
Hmm.
point of his career where if I was being picky, I think there's some times where he could be a little more aggressive down the middle of the field with maybe a tight end 15 yards down the middle or somebody else just right over the middle. I think at times he has a little bit of a hard time because of his size seeing that perfectly. And then instead of taking the chance, he just goes, I don't know about it. I'm not sure if I'm seeing everything. Let me move on to somebody else. Are there some plays missed from that standpoint from time to time? Yes, but it's minute and nobody's perfect. Everybody's got a
Hmm.
little weakness or something they could get better at. That would be my little tweak with Russell Wilson.
And you mentioned it a little bit, but he's the one guy in the NFL who you can see literally glancing at the defensive line in the middle of a play. He's been in the pocket for a second and a half or 2 seconds, and he can go from there to staying in the pocket or leaving the pocket. And you would never coach it that way, but he's found a way to make it work for him.
Yes, he really has. I mean, he's a savant. From day one, he's got unbelievable self-belief. And yeah, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. You could argue he's the clutchest quarterback in football, and I think you've named the right names. You said Mahomes, Rodgers. Those are the other guys that I would probably
Hmm.
go in that discussion. We know Brady's that clutch too. Now Brady doesn't have the talent those guys do, but
Right.
certainly has the clutch factor. But yeah, I just think if I look at it and I go, man, you're down by 10, and you got to take one quarterback in football right now in the fourth quarter. It might be Russell Wilson because he can pull a rabbit out of his ass at any moment.
Well, he's the one, it seems like, with the most experience. That he's doing it most Sundays, no matter who the competition is.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.